Hey guys, in today's lesson we're going to go ahead and talk about completing the square, and it's more specifically as it has to do with graphing quadratics. En esta lección vamos a aprender cómo completar el cuadrado, um, prácticamente para hacer la gráfica de los cuadráticos. And the question becomes, guys, how do we factor a quadratic that's not factorable? Okay, and actually we got two options, and we'll just talk about the first one today. The first one is complete the square. Okay, and the other option is using the quadratic formula. And it goes into more detail, but just for us today, we're just going to keep it simple and work on completing the square and understanding why we need that. So we have this quadratic here. And one of the reasons we factor is to be able to graph. But see here, this guy here, you can't factor. Como pueden ver aquí, no se puede factorizar este. There's never going to be a factors of 2 that'll add up to 4. And so that gives us a problem. So we have to develop a new technique in order to be able to factor this. And that's why we use it. Complete the square, that's why we use it. We use it to be able to factor, okay? Para eso lo usamos, para factorizar. Vamos a completar el cuadrado para factorizar. Pero lo vamos a usar para poder hacer la gráfica del cuadrático. Now, if you remember how to graph a quadratic is something with the power of 2. And that is always going to have this U shape. It's called a parabola. And when you graph it, this guy right here, you see how it's x minus 3 in the parentheses? That means you're going to move it 3 units to the right. And you're going to move it down 1. Okay? So from the center, you're going to go 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, and then down 1. So this is how you would graph a quadratic, and this is called vertex form. Okay, esta forma se llama forma del vértice, entonces van a moverse 3 unidades a la derecha, 1, 2, 3, y una hacia abajo. Y ese me da el punto de la vértice. That gives me the point of the vertex. So this is 3, comma, negative 1. And that's important because now I can go ahead and give a quick sketch of the parabola. And that's what we use it a lot for. So I want to help you understand how do we complete the square, because you'll be using it in Algebra 2 for factoring, or actually for graphing more difficult conics, what we call. So the first thing you want to do is you want to move the constant over to the right. Okay. El primer paso es mover este número hacia la derecha. You want to kind of just move them to the right just to make some room. You're going to take half of the middle number, or half of the middle term of this guy, and then you're going to square it. And then when you square it, you'll be able to factor it. So let me show you an example here. Déjenme enseñarle un ejemplo aquí. Ok. Entonces, esto no se puede factorizar. Okay? We can't factor it. So we're going to move it to the right, move the 2. Okay, movemos el 2. That creates a space right here. So we're going to take half of the 4. Vamos a tomar la mitad del 4. La mitad del 4 is 2. Half of 4 is 2. When I say half, that means dividing. Dividing by 2. La mitad del 4 is 2. Pero lo voy a cuadrar. Okay? So half of 4 is 2, and I'm going to square it. Why do I want to square it? Because I want to be able to factor it. Okay? Now remember, whatever you add on one side, you have to add on the other. So that's why I had to put this guy over here on the left. Lo que se agrega a la mano derecha se tiene que agregar a la mano izquierda para tener la ecuación balanceada. So you need to do that to keep the equation balanced, okay? So whatever you add on one side, you got to add on the other. Well, 2 squared is 4. Now right here, 2 squared is also 4. Now this part here, esta parte de aquí ya se puede factorizar. We can factor this now, okay? So the factors of los factores de 4 que me dan 4 van a ser 2 y 2. So when you factor this, and hopefully you remember how to factor, you're going to get x plus 2 times another x plus 2. Well, since they're both the same, you're going to get x plus 2 squared right here. And if you look very closely, I really didn't need this middle step, because look at it, it's just right there. So you take one of the x's, and then whatever value is in here, it happens to be right here. Como pueden ver, realmente no necesitaba esto porque el número que está aquí sale igual aquí y aquí. Entonces el número que está aquí nomás lo va a poner acá con la x. Entonces x más 2 al cuadrado, so we have x plus 2 squared. And then all I have to do is just take this 4, subtract it to bring it to the other side, and now I have my vertex form. Ahora puedo hacer la gráfica. Now I can graph it. So how do I do it? Well, start from the center. You're going to go 2 units to the left. Why? Because it's a plus 2. ¿Por qué? Porque es más 2. Okay. Now essentially what happens, this is what you're doing. You're doing x plus 2, set it equal to 0. And you're going to solve it. So that means x is equal to negative 2. And because it's a negative, you're going to go to the left. Okay. So from here, you're going to go to the left. 1, 2. And then you're going to go down 2. 1, 2. And there it is. Okay. And that's your vertex. Y este es el vértice del cuadrático. Okay. De la parábola. So now I can go ahead and just get a quick sketch. And then you just go up. Okay. And how did I get this point? ¿Cómo agarré este punto? Well, this is x equals 0. Este es x igual a 0. So if I plug in 0 into my x, I get 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. So then when I plugged in 0 into the x, I got 2. And that's how I graphed it. Okay. Well, then how do I get this point? Well, remember that through the middle, por el medio hay una línea simétrica. There's a middle line, a line of symmetry. Okay. So if we have this guy is 2 units from the center, then I can just flip it and then go 2 units to the left. And then these are the same distance. And that's how I get this point. Okay. And I know that's a lot of information, so we're going to go ahead and just continue to practice. Pero lo que le estaba diciendo para agarrar esta, puse x igual a 0. Agarré 0 más 2 es 4. Perdón, 0 más 2 es 2. Al cuadrado es 4. 4 menos 2 es 2. Entonces cuando la x es 0 me da 2. ¿Cómo agarré este punto? Acuérdense que por el medio hay una línea simétrica. Entonces si de la línea simétrica estamos 2 pasos a la derecha, vamos a tomar 2 pasos a la izquierda. Y entonces ahí coloqué el punto. But let's go ahead, guys, and see if we can go ahead and do some examples here. And we'll just take it nice and easy. So the first one, we can't factor this, so we're going to move it to the right. Okay, lo vamos a mover. All right, and then we're going to get x squared minus 6x plus, and then give yourself some space, dale un espacio allí. We're going to go ahead and take half of the middle. Half of negative 6 is negative 3. You see how I did that? I put the negative 3 in parentheses. Whatever I put on one side, I got to add on the other side. Okay, entonces la mitad del menos 6 es menos 3. La mitad es dividiendo por 2. Okay, so now this guy here, I can do the math. And that gives me negative 3 squared, negativo 3 al cuadrado is 9. Okay, now this guy right here, I can factor. Esto ya lo puedo factorizar. But I'm not going to go ahead and do this process. Yo no voy a hacer todo este proceso de aquí. Porque yo ya sé el resultado. I already know the answer. Okay, all I got to do is take one x here, because it's going to factor x, and then minus 3, so I'm going to do minus 3, and then to the second power, plus 3. Okay, but just so we can understand how to do it, let me go ahead and do it right here on the side. Entonces, ¿cómo me fui de aquí a acá? Entonces, this is negative 3 squared, negativo 3 al cuadrado, so that is x squared minus 6x plus 9. So now I can factor this. Ahora tengo que factorizar esto. Entonces voy a hacerle así. X y X. Factores de 9 que me van a dar menos 6. Bueno, van a ser menos 3, menos 3. Porque negativo 3 por negativo 3 me da 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So when I cross multiply, I get negative 3x, and that gives me negative 6x. And that's what I wanted. So you see, it comes out x minus 3, x minus 3. But I don't want to keep doing this all the time. Once I recognize this, I can go straight into that. Pero como pueden ver, ya lo reconozco, entonces nomás puedo ir de aquí a acá, porque me va a dar lo mismo de esto. So now, all I have to do is subtract 9 on both sides, minus 9. I get y equals x minus 3 squared. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. 3 menos 9 menos 6. Entonces el vértice, the vertex, is positive 3, positivo 3, negativo 6. Because remember, it's always the opposite here, okay? And so when I graph it, entonces cuando voy a hacer la gráfica, 1, 2, 3 y 6 abajo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right here. So this is my vertex, 3, comma, negative 6. And now I can do the graph, okay? Now, for us, it's not really that big of a deal, but we want to be precise. Let's go ahead and plug in a 0. Hay que ponerle el 0 aquí. Si pongo el 0 aquí, 0 menos 3, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. 9 take away 6 is 3. Okay, so when x is 0, y is 3. 1, 2, 3 right here. Entonces, cuando la x es 0, me va a dar positivo 3. 0 menos 3 es menos 3. Al cuadrado me da 9. 9 menos 6 me da 3. Entonces, línea simétrica acá. And then 1, 2, 3. So we go 1, 2, 3 over here. And that's how I find the other point. And then I can just go ahead and connect it as best as I can. Okay. Este también, go ahead and connect this one right here. And that's it. Okay. Let's go ahead and do another one. Hay que hacer otro. For this one, same thing. We can't factor, no lo podemos factorizar. So we're going to go ahead and move it to the right. So we're going to get x squared plus 7x plus something, and then put the 4 on the right. Here's the y. Take half of 7. Oh no, it's not a whole number. Well, it is a whole number, but it's not an even number. So half of 7 is what? 3.5. And that's okay to get a fraction. La mitad de 7 es 3.5. If you want to put a fraction, that's fine. But I think since we're going to be graphing it, we want a decimal. So let's go ahead and use our shortcut. Vamos a hacerlo rápido. X 3.5. Entonces voy a poner más 3.5 al cuadrado. Más 4 acá. So now we're going to go ahead and multiply this. And when you multiply that, you should get 12.25. And that's okay. You might have to use a calculator. So minus 12.25 minus 12.25 on the top. Okay. So y equals x plus 3.5 squared. Now, be careful here. Tengan cuidado acá. When you do this, cuando hagan esta parte, because you're subtracting, you always want to put the bigger value on the top. Minus 4. I know it's going to be a negative, but sometimes students get confused. Okay, but you always want to put the biggest value on the top, because if not, you might get a wrong answer. So you're going to get 5, 2, 12 minus 4 is 8. So this is going to end up being negative 8.25. Okay. And then that's what you would get. Ese sería el resultado. So now we can go ahead and factor it. So on my vertex is negative 3.5 and then negative 8.25. And I'm just going to go ahead and give a rough sketch, not to be exact. Ahora entonces negativo 3.5, 1, 2, 3, la mitad va a ser aquí. Here's a half, and then you go down negative 8. That's too far for me. Let's see here, but I'll just go ahead and do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right about here. And then punto 5, maybe a little bit here. Okay. And then from here, just to save myself some time, I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick sketch like that. And this is my vertex, negative 3.5 and negative 8.25. Okay. And for these, depending on your professor, you might not have to be precise just yet, because right now we're just kind of learning how to complete the square for graphing. Let's go ahead and do a couple more, guys. Okay, hacer unos cuantos más. So let's go ahead and do this one. Same thing. You can't factor it. So we're going to have x squared minus 5x plus, okay, move the negative 3 over to the right. You're going to have the negative 3 over here. Okay, you have y equals, all right, and so you have negative 5. Half of negative 5 is negative 2.5, and that's squared. So over here you want to add negative 2.5 squared. All right, that's very important. So now when you go ahead and graph it, actually when you factor it, you're going to have x and that's minus 2.5 squared. That's a minus 3. And then here, negative 2.5 squared. Now be careful, it's not negative 2.5 times 2. Acuérdense, no es 2.5 por 2, es al cuadrado. So, entonces mueves el 3. La mitad de negativo 5 es negativo 2.5. Este al cuadrado me va a dar, that should give you 6.25. Okay, then you subtract minus 6.25, minus 6.25. Okay, y equals, this guy simplifies out. Right here, you're going to add these. Estos se van a sumar. Okay, entonces no hay problema con eso. That's a lot easier when we're adding it. So that means we're going to get negative 9.25. And that's it. Y eso es todo. So now I can go ahead and graph it. So my vertex, mi vértice va a ser 2.5 positivo. Siempre es el opuesto de aquí. It's always the opposite. This one's going to stay the same. Este se va a quedar igualito. Okay, negative 9.25. And that's my vertex. Ese es mi vértice. So now here I come. 2.5, 2.5, 1, 2.5 está acá. And then you go down negative 9. I'm just going to say negative 9 is over here. Voy a decir que negativo 9 está acá. Negativo 9 está acá. Entonces va a estar acá 0.5. Entonces acá 2.5. Let's just say this is 2.5, negative 9.25. Okay. And then from here, I'm just going to go ahead and do my parabola. Okay. Just a sketch. The most important thing is you get the vertex correct. Lo más importante es que agarren el vértice correcto. Okay. Pero como agarramos decimales, no quise por el tiempo sacar todo esto. Pero vamos a hacer si lo podemos hacer en este. Okay. For the sake of time, I didn't want to go ahead and do the decimals and all that, but it's okay. Just for the sake of time, but we'll go ahead and do it in this one. And for this one, let's go ahead and do the same thing. Move it over to the right. Okay, so we have x squared plus 10x plus something, and then minus 5. Move it over. Take half of your 10. La mitad del 10, half of 10 is 5. And we're going to square it. Whatever you add on one side, you add on the other. Lo que se agrega a un lado, se agrega al otro lado. Okay, so now we have 5 squared is 25. Okay, this guy factors out into x plus 5, and then we're going to square that. Minus 5. Good, now this last thing, subtract 25 on both sides. Minus 25. That simplifies out, so now we have y equals x plus 5. We're going to square that. Minus 30. Cool. So now I have my vertex. My vertex is negative 5, comma, negative 30. All right. So let's go ahead and say here. So negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 30. I'm just going to say it's over here. Hay que decir que negativo 30 está acá. Just because it's a lot farther down. So I'll just scale it. Now I want to be a little bit more precise with this one. So I'm going to plug in 0. Entonces le voy a agregar el 0. So 0 más 5 es 5. 5 al cuadrado es 25. 25 menos 30 is menos 5. So when x is 0, I put 5. I get 5. 5 squared is 25 minus 30 is negative 5. So when x is 0, I get negative 5. So let's just go ahead and say, let's just say here it's negative 5. Okay, so remember, it's the scale is off. I'm just making it here, so that's why I have to label the point. And that's okay. So let's go ahead and make my line of symmetry. Okay, so I can make the scales whatever I want as long as I label it. Okay, so here I have this guy here and something like that. So from here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So to the left is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. So this one looks a little bit better. Okay, and there it is, and then it just keeps going, and I'll just leave it like that just so I don't run into my work. All right, guys, so that's the idea of completing the square. So you want to go ahead and move it, take half of the middle. Okay, and then once you have half of the middle, Okay, you put it here, and then now this is factorable into this. All right, and then whatever you add on one side, you add on the other. Entonces lo que se pone a un lado se pone al otro lado. La mitad del 10 es 5. Okay. Acuérdense que cuando llega a este punto se factoriza una x aquí, el positivo 5 se pone más 5. Nomás tengo que hacer las matemáticas de acá, traer el 25 al otro lado. Y después puedo hacer la gráfica. Okay. Let me show you one more thing. Just remember, nomás acuérdense. Okay. In order to, if you want to be more detailed with your parabola. Okay. Cuando llegan a esta parte de aquí, ya está factorizado, el vértice está aquí. Se puede sustituir el 0. You can substitute the 0 to get this point. Okay. And then the line of symmetry here, la línea simétrica de acá. 2 unidades a la derecha, vamos a ir 2 unidades a la izquierda. Y eso me va a dar los 3 puntos para hacer la gráfica. And that'll be able to give me the graph. Alright guys, so hopefully that helps, and I'll see you guys next time.